All right, back inside the Pirate Radio Zoom room, brought to you by Cellular Warehouse. Call Toby Williams and his team at Cellular Warehouse today at 799-7051. Also, White Claw, hard seltzer. Nothing tastes quite like it. And I'm here today with a guy I covered when he played ECU football, and then a frequent guest on the old locker room that I used to host every Thursday night, 6 to 7. Phillip Henry, PH, is back. What's up, PH?
What's up, man? What's going on? Nice jersey.
Yeah, I gotta rep the boys today, and unfortunately, your Mets nowhere near the playoffs this year. But
New ownership. We'll be back next year, hopefully.
all right, you'll be back. You'll be back. Philip, I wanted to get you on, talk some Pirate football, and we used to call you the wideologist, talking about wide receivers. And let's start there, man, because when C.J. Johnson, Blake Prohl, and Tyler Snead have two catches apiece, that's not a winning recipe for ECU. The passing game really struggled against UCF, and that's something that I think and I really hope will improve when they take on Georgia State this Saturday.
Yeah, me too. Every time I watch ECU, I always expect like the wide receivers to play pretty well, but in that game, obviously, it didn't happen. I also look to see if they can establish some type of run game so that we can have a balance. Because I feel like when teams go into playing ECU, they just look at the fact that they have weapons and wide receiver weapons, and they're gonna pass the ball so much. I really feel like it's been a long time since we had that type of run, a consistent run game. So I look at that game, I always try to see if they can establish that so it can be easier for the wide receivers. But, hopefully in the next game, winnable game, I think, they'll be better.
Philip, you know Donnie Kirkpatrick well, and late in that game against UCF, the Pirates pounded the football, and it was almost like it could have been a couple of things. It could have been they just wanted the clock to run and get out of there. To me, it was almost more like an extended spring game because they didn't have a spring game. So Donnie was trying to establish a run game with these young running backs, and they were able to run the ball well. I think finishing with 244 rushing yards. But again, kind of an empty stat when you're out of the game. But it was nice to see them get some kind of run game going. What do you think? Why do you think they ran so much towards the end of that game on Saturday?
I think it's going to be important. I think the coaches know it's going to be important going forward to be able to establish that run game so it can have that balance for the team. Like I said, every team going into it, I feel like they're looking at ECU like we got wide receivers, got a quarterback that can get on the ball. If you stop this run, now they're one-dimensional. So I think he knows it's going to be important going forward. You're playing against a good team already. So you're playing a team that like UCF, man, it's a good team. You want to make sure that you got everything clicking. I give these guys a lot of credit because just being able to play right now in these times, it's been tough. I give them a lot of credit just for being able to go out there in this pandemic, having to deal with that, and then also dealing with not being able to have the atmosphere. You want the Pirate fans to be there, and they're not able to be there as much. So that also can hurt you going into a game. And I know, like, if I was a player right now, I would just be thinking, like, take it as like, man, this is the only game we might be able to play. It might be over for us after this. You know what I'm saying? That's the kind of mindset you probably need to have right now if you're playing because you just don't know. I've seen some NFL, I think it's an NFL game that might be postponed or they're trying to figure it out. College has been up and down. So just being able to go out and play against somebody that's not your own team too. You already feel that way when you're in practice and you're always going against each other. But this year it's been even more like, can you play your first game against your opponent? So I'm sure the coaching staff trying to see what they got from these guys, like who's going to show up. So,
Yeah, well said. And Philip, you played some slot receiver, and that position has changed over the years. And slot corners have become a huge position on the defensive side of the ball. I made the comment last week that Tyler Snead was uncoverable because there's just not a guy that can run around with him as a slot corner, and then he gets shut down because UCF did have a slot corner that could cover him, and they went man to man on him and shut him down. That position on the defensive side of the ball has evolved along with these offenses evolving, right? And
right.
seeing more and more slot corners that sometimes you put your best corner at slot, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you now. When you're in the slot, if you really about route running, you should be open most of the time. But when they bring out different type of like DBs and stuff, it's different than running your route against linebackers. You're playing against outside linebackers that are fast. Usually, like South Florida has, a lot of times like UCF has, they usually have a fast secondary in the first place. So it was always tougher for me to try and get open against corners as opposed to outside linebackers because they're just a lot faster. But the outside linebackers, especially guys that have like very strong upper body and long arms, it can be tough because they try to reroute you. But if you're in that slot, man, and you're a good route runner, that's going to be the key to getting you open all the time. Like you should be able to be wide open. There's just too much room out there. You got the sideline, got a lot more room on that sideline than the person that's the outside receiver. A lot of guys I played with, the outside receivers used to be envious of me being in the slot because they felt like on the outside, you got the out of bounds line that can also cover you. So they felt like I had a lot of room. But, I took pride in route running too. So you got to just make sure you take pride in your route running, as opposed to, just getting the ball on different type of plays outside of you getting wide open. Plus, I had to get wide open to get the ball.
Talking to PH, number 32, you remember him. He used to, they didn't have names on the jerseys. Phillip said he had dreads, so his family would recognize him, right? Is that what you said?
Absolutely.
Phillip, I want to ask you this too. You were part of
Not
a
anymore.
yeah, it's all gone. I made the comment to you off there, Phillip. Everybody I catch up with looks older now. You look the same. Like somehow you stayed young over the years.
I don't know, man. Alkaline water, sea moss, I guess. Yeah, if I grow this out, though, it's gonna be all great.
I hear you. I got that same issue myself. Phillip, I want to ask you about being in a program that's trying to turn into a winner and like how tough that is because Mike Houston was asked this week, how does a team get confidence without winning football games? And I don't know if you can. Like you got to win to get confident. What was that like for you on a team that you kind of saw that okay, we're definitely on the rise, but when did it click and when did it feel like okay, we got something here?
Uh, it was all season for us, going into my junior year, really all season. A lot more players showed up for like volunteer workouts. We started being, start seeing like 30, probably 30 plus players on offense, 30 on the defense. Like you just got more players that you can run more plays with for volunteer workouts. So that's when I think we realized it. Going into that season, we had some good players. We had already, played a whole season under that system. And so when you come into the season with the same system, and then you got a lot of players who are at key positions, that are coming back. Quarterback came back that year. And then we had some players at receiver and running back. So I think we just knew like this was going to be our time if we just had guys show up in the off season for us. And you'd be surprised at how many players don't really want to show up during volunteer workout. But when you see everybody come out for that, then you start getting more confidence. And then we went into our first game, and we had an opportunity, that next year, first game to be playing on national TV. So we played against Virginia Tech after the shooting, and we played well in that first half. We went into that game feeling like we had a chance to win, though. So I think just when you see more people come into volunteer workouts, that can be an indicator. That was an indicator for us when we played.
And you were on those teams, Phillip, that kind of laid a foundation for championship teams a couple years after you left. We hope that's the case here with Mike
Absolutely.
Houston as they
I
try to
still
build
say
something.
the 017 roster player for player on the roster. If you just look at it, man, so many guys on that team and backup players that became great players. That was one of the ones that started it, and everybody else just took off from there, which is exactly what you want. It's hard. They're trying to get started, so I definitely understand.
Capped off with the win over Boise State, right?
Absolutely. Hawaii Bowl win.
There you go. Phillip, you are this is my second of 3 Zooms today. I'm sick of it. You're an educator. You Zoom nonstop, right? This is your
Yeah.
life, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna be doing this in a minute. We got a class that's gonna be starting up at around. Well, I guess I got a couple more minutes. Really starts around 2:45. But now that I'm at NC State, a media coordinator there, so all I'm doing is hosting Zooms and allowing the professors to come in. This is a mini studio that I'm in right now. You can see this
Oh yeah.
studio with the screens up and stuff. So like they're gonna come in and just teach that class right in this booth, and like I just gotta host it to make sure everything's good, make sure they have all the functions they need, everything's working. But everybody's making that adjustment, even on the on the college level, and as well as the people that are in schools having to go back lower levels. Like I sympathize for our educators out there, all parents out there that's having to go through it. Different meetings that you have to have, and you can't really be there. Teachers that are not quite used to having to make videos for yourself as opposed to really getting the feedback you need from your students. All those things, man, it's tough right now, but I feel like it'll be better something, down the road.
Yeah, hope so, man. And great to see you're doing well. And as Dave Jordan asked you to be on scout team, they can't stop anybody on defense, man.
It's
They,
crazy out there, man. It's crazy. They was talking so much trash after the first win too. And then that second game, it got bad quick with the backups. It might have been like the New York Giants playing against the backups. We still lost. Like they still lost, man. I
they
don't
had to
know.
mention their 49ers, looking good, even though they don't have any players out there, but winning some games.
The
So
division is gonna get real. It's a storm coming.
it's a storm coming. Hey, Phillip, great to catch up with you, man. Always enjoy it. We'll do it again down the road. And if folks want to hear more from you, you're putting out
Yeah.
the PH podcast. You got great.
I got it ready. Just go
Oh,
to
there you go.
ph32.net. You see it. Go right there, get everything you need. Check out the podcast.
I like that. Good marketing there, PH. Phillip,
Cool.
enjoyed it, man. We'll talk again soon.
All right, man. Nice jersey. Good luck to your boys too, man.
All right, there's number 32, PH Phillip Henry, joining us inside the Pirate Radio Zoom room, brought to you by Sailor Warehouse and White Claw Hard Seltzer. We'll see you next time.